Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's shiur should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavriel Tzvi, and for Zaidi, Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, who yesterday they put down the matzevos, the Chovos Matzeva yesterday, Neshama Zahom Na'aliyah, and B'schos L'Refuah Shalema B'karov, Mishalom ben Sarachel, Miriam Basara, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Atara. Today, we are on page 167 in the Ora Vigdor, for those who are following along. And today we're going to talk about the fifth and the sixth hypothetical reason as to why we sometimes see that tzaddikim, righteous people, that they suffer so much on this world. And we know, or at least we think, that if I do good, Hashem is going to be good to me. Why all the suffering, especially for these people who are on such a high level, such a high madrega? What is that all about? And so, subject but not limited to, reason number 5, is, he says, V'yesh sometimes Hashem afflicts the tzaddik, l'resha anshe doirei, because of the wickedness of the people of his generation. Now, we're going to get a little deeper into this, but on face value is they are getting punished. They are suffering because of the wicked people of their own generation. V'yevchanehu habayri yasala, and so Hashem tests the tzaddik ba'oini uverish uvchalayim, with poverty, destitution, and illnesses. Laharis chasidosai v'avadosai lekim mibal eidehem, to show how righteous he is in the service of Hashem, much more than they are able to do. And so, in a certain sense, these evil people of his generation are supposed to be learning from this tzaddik, that they see how much he's suffering, and yet he doesn't stray from Avera. And when they are having such a good time, and they are not afflicted, they should look at it and say, you know what, maybe I should be more like the tzaddik, that even when times are tough, I shouldn't stray from Hashem. And an evil person doesn't necessarily mean that he's doing great in the world. He's just a bad guy. He could be doing horribly as well. But he just doesn't want to listen to Hashem. He doesn't want to follow the rules. As it says, he bore our illnesses, and he suffered our pains. And this means that the tzaddik suffered because of us, because of the people who are not up to par. And sometimes the righteous people suffer because of their generation, and we've seen that over the years. Things like that have happened. Rabbi Victor Miller says that when you see sometimes that a righteous person, a tzaddik, is suffering, you should take that as a message of sorts. You should take that as a maybe Klal Yisrael needs to do better. If the tzaddik, who is pure, and he's suffering, then maybe he's suffering because of us, because of our averos. And then so we should take upon ourselves to do better and learn from the tzaddik, and we should just try to do our part to make sure that affliction doesn't happen to that tzaddik. And that's the fifth. Now the sixth and final reason as to why the tzaddik might suffer sometimes, it says over here, V'yesh sometimes Hashem afflicts the tzaddik to punish him. What's that punishment for? Although he is a tzaddik and he's not doing anything bad, but there's a part that a tzaddik sometimes, he can't stand by idly, not saying anything. What does that mean? Very often, a person will see someone else doing something wrong, and they'll just say, look, it's not my business, I don't want to get involved. And Hashem says, no, you need to get involved. Especially if you're a tzaddik, if you're a pure neshama, you need to call them out, obviously in the correct manner. There's a process on how to do that. But you are not supposed to stand by idly and not say anything. If you see someone doing something wrong, go over to them, have a conversation with them. Try to set them straight, put them on the right path. And he brings over here, he says, V'yesh sometimes Hashem, because he doesn't show sufficient zeal for Hashem. To demand justice from the people of his generation. And he sees others that are misbehaving, he doesn't call them out. And he says, you see this, Eli Kohen Gadol and his sons, what happened over there was that people would come and they would want to take their portion before they would burn the fat on the Mizbeach. And you're not supposed to take your portion before you burn the fat on the Mizbeach, before you give Hashem his cut. And over there, Eli Kohen and his kids did not call them out of this, did not call these people out of it. And what happened was over there, it says, Shama Be'em HaKasev, V'hayu kol hanoisei beveisecha, and all those who will survive in your house, he tells Eli HaKohen, Yovei l'shtachvus will come to bow down to the Kohen Gadol, who would then be in office, will take him over, la gores kesef v'kikar lechem, for a penny and a piece of bread. And they're going to be punished, and they're going to have to beg for everything that they need, because he didn't call out these people on their avera. He should have said. You shouldn't stand by idly and say, "Okay, I'm not doing anything about it. Not my business." No, it's your business. If you see someone do something wrong, pull them aside. Say, "Buddy, what are you doing? What you can't do that. That's wrong." And there's a process to that. You can't do it in public. You can't embarrass them in public, right? But you're allowed to go over to them nicely and say it. And one time, two times, three times. There's rules and regulations. If someone keeps on doing something wrong and they know it's wrong, then you're allowed to embarrass them in public. Obviously, we're not on that level. We're not getting there yet. But the point is, if you see something, say something. That's a real part of Yiddishkeit. When you see someone doing something wrong, you need to take upon yourself to try to set them straight and try to at least encourage them in a nice way, in a loving way, to do so. So just to recap real quickly, the 6 different reasons as to why sometimes we see righteous people, tzaddikim, suffers. The first one we said was his own chatam. He might have had sins in his previous times in his life, or even currently, whatever it is, and he has to get punished for that. Merit for the future, we spoke about that sometimes Hashem gives him punishments to give him a higher level of Gan Eden later on. Personal growth. Hashem wants to build character into a person, and so he gives him those obstacles, those trials and tribulations to build up the character for something harder later on, but then he'll have the right foundation in order to grow properly. Then setting an example. Setting an example is Hashem might punish them to say, we should look at them and to say, look, these tzaddikim, they're suffering, yet they're still staying on the right path of Torah, of Yir Shemayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what he wants. We should be able to do the same. And then you have to condemn the wicked, so that the wicked people look at them and say, you know what, if they can do it, why should I be such a balavera? And the 6th one is because they didn't call out others on their chatam, that they should be involved actively and try, if they see someone doing something, go over to them, talk to them, have a conversation out of love, not out of spite, not because you think you're better than them, no, because you care how another Yid acts towards Hashem. Thank you everyone for joining us all here today, and I love you all.